Division II. First year we finished 7-8-1. Second year, 14-3-3, and we've never looked back since that time. The 1983 team reminded me of this particular little sports blurb. The key aspect of sports is capitalizing on your strengths, leveraging on what you do well, and then constantly working on areas where you need to improve. This should be an ongoing process, and one that most successful athletes follow. And boy, follow they did. Over the course of my 47 years of coaching, 43 here at Keene State, I've worked with a lot of different players and a lot of different characters. I've always done my best trying to find student athletes who are the right fit for Keene State College, on the field and in the classroom and in the community. Sometimes the people you count on just don't work out for a variety of reasons. Until you see them in action, in practice, in games. You've all heard of the word pressure. I think that's what separates the great athletes from the mediocre athletes. Those athletes under pressure can perform day in and day out, and they accept the challenge. You know, we never had to beg this team to practice. I never had to beg this team to do what we called Jonesies at that time. I never had to beg the team at halftime. Yes, did we have some heated halftime discussions? Oh, we did. We also had some great moments. So some of the things that I remember about this team, okay, and one of the reasons I feel this team was so different and really set in motion why we were so successful in Division II, and then carried it on into Division III. They did not believe in doing just the bare minimum. That to me is a character flaw, and I don't think it's possible to change completely. Calvin Coolidge said, "Nothing is more common than unsuccessful people with talent." And I've always remembered that quote. Again, nothing is more common than unsuccessful people with talent. However, a work ethic they had. They wanted to be the best, and the best they were. These guys pushed each other in practice. They pushed each other in games. They were not afraid to yell at their teammates if they weren't doing the job. The goalkeepers are not afraid to kick a defenseman in the butt if he let in a cheap goal or he had a guy run right by him. He was not afraid. I had to give a little speech to Coach Scott's team the other night, and the present goalkeeper said, "You know what? I don't hear you. I don't hear you." We said, "I know. Not good enough. Not good enough." I said, "I want to start hearing you. I want to start hearing you commanding the defense, talking about picking up people and so forth and so on." We'll see if it happens. Negativity. You know, sometimes as a coach you can be negative about players and about games and about situations, but negative players really have no place in the team environment. It toxic to everyone. This team had leadership up and down. Every one of those players up there had something special to give. They were able to submerge their egos, something some people can't do, for the good of the team. They knew how to solve their own problems. I didn't have to be there. I did not have to be there. As I told them on many occasions, you can dislike a person off the field, but come practice and come game time, you better have a loving relationship with that person playing beside you, in front of you, and in back of you. What happens off the field doesn't matter. But what happens with me in practice and on the field, that's what matters the most. This team had a different chemistry than many of my teams have had. They knew the difference between the word interest and commitment. Two words, interest and commitment. When you're interested in doing something, you don't do it only when it's convenient for you. However, if you're committed to a common goal, you find a way to compete and win. They accepted no excuses from anyone. They wanted only results, and results they got. They were all committed. A team above all a team. That was their motto. As we go on to think about this year's team that's being inducted in the Hall of Fame, we go back to a season where we finished 14, actually 3-2, got a bid to the NCAA National Championship. We had to play the game down at the University of New Haven, and I bring this up because I think this summarizes this team the best. We went down to the University of New Haven, stayed overnight. It rained all night, and I'm not talking about just a little shower here and there. 2 to 3 inches of rain. I woke up this morning, I told my assistant coach, Bert Corey at the time, there's no way we're playing this game. No way. But we have to go to the field. We get to the field, we look at the field, we're not playing. In fact, I protested the game because they were making us play. So we played on their football field, which was regular turf built on a ledge. 0 drainage. Both goal mouths full of water. The sideline where we stood as players, we had to sit up in the bleachers underwater. And yet the referees made us play that game. We came out, we fell down 2-0 with about 8 minutes left in the game. Okay? And then we started. We really came on. And here's what Chris Pangalos wrote, because I can't say any better. The goal, a second New Haven goal with 19 minutes left in the game, instead of demoralizing Keene, fired them up. And as they did all season long, the Owls just worked even harder and harder and harder. That relentless hard work paid off in the 83rd minute when Lorenzo Mastrangelo sent Mike Burdigan alone with a classic Keene State corner, bang, back of the net. This time, after having 17 offsides, he was onside for a change. Okay? The goal ignited the entire Keene State College team, and with the score now 2-1 with only 7 minutes left, Keene State completely dominated the game with a furious assault that thrilled the many cheering Keene fans who made the long trek to New Haven in support of their team. One of the differences between that era and this era is the student body. Back then, we had no trouble getting 2, 3, 4 buses to go to championship games. We had no trouble filling the field with 2,000 and 3,000 people at a whack watching us play. We had the community that would come out and support us all the time. That's the difference between that era and this era, where video games and cell phones keep the kids in their dorm rooms long into the night. I say that because it's one of my pet peeves. Okay? So, when this furious comeback, everything looked pretty well. John McCulley, All-American, all this, all that, that's up the back of the room, he had gotten injured about 6 games before. He didn't play 2 or 3 of those games. He couldn't. He was injured. But come time for the playoffs, as a coach, wrap me up, put me in, I'm ready to go. On this particular day, obviously with the field underwater, he's coming out, he's running like this, and yet he still had a presence about him. I'm getting sick behind the mic there. He had a presence about him. And with like 1 minute and 30 seconds left, we sent him in alone. He beat the goalie, side-footed the ball. Everybody's screaming and yelling because there's no goalie and it's going into the goal. I think you know what happened next. Dead stop on the goal line. Probably one of the most demoralizing defeats because we were better than that team. We were better than that team. But in the game of soccer, best team doesn't always win. It's still about luck. But here's a team that never, never, never gave up. Never. And that's what I like about these particular teams and the teams that Coach Scott has now. They work 90 minutes to the very end. So many of the players from this team are in the record books. 3-time All-American striker John McCulley ranks in the top 10 all-time for most points and most goals in a career, 39 and 17 assists. He'd have probably had 7 or 8 more goals if he had been healthy. Goalkeeper Keith Brown. Now, some of you don't know me, but by trade I'm a goalkeeper. These old goalkeepers that I trained, we took no prisoners. At practice, they probably practiced harder than the rest of the team. They were battered, they were bruised, they would talk behind my back and saying, when is this guy gonna let up? But through all this, I drop kick balls from 5 yards. You better make the save, because if you can't make the save, you're not gonna make the big save in a game. But through all this, I had Keith since he was in the 8th grade. He decided to come to Keene, and he certainly made a name for himself in his 4 years here. In fact, in that game, he made one of the most unbelievable saves I can ever remember. Header from New Haven, lower corner, dive, boom, save. I thought we had the game won. Same thing happened with Rick Scott's team, the United Toughs. The goalkeeper made 2 brilliant saves. We're going to win the game. No problem. The only thing I didn't count on was that 2 of his best midfielders wound up injured and had to leave the game. But here's the difference. When we put in 2 or 3 players that got injured or for another reason, we never lost a beat. We never lost a beat. They kept going. And as I told the players the other night, if you have the opportunity to represent Keene State on the field, you need to do it 100%. And if you do that, there's where Coach Scott's team get to the next level, and that's what he's hoping for. So Keith Brown is in the record book also. Goalkeeper Keith Brown ranks 2nd all-time for most saves in a career, 435. 3rd all-time for most shutouts in a career, 25. 3rd all-time for most games in a career played by a goalkeeper, 62 games. All-time best save percentage. All-time for most wins in a career for a goalkeeper. And of course, the end, John McCulley and who? Who? Chris Pangalos. That's Chris Pangalos. Panga, you want to tell him what you did?
No, my wife is here. I can't.
He was a great scorer. I'll tell you one story about Pango. Pango was a young man who drove me nuts, drove me bonkers. And if you know Chris, he always had something to say. Okay? So he was a midfielder playing in front of me, and I was relentless with him because I always knew he could do better. The thing I didn't realize about Chris, after about 15 minutes, he said, I had enough of this. He'd run over to the other side, tell the other man, you go listen to Butch for the next one. Ronnie, I didn't know you were here. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
In conclusion, and I think this holds true for everybody who's played sports, sports history is always full of what ifs. Think about it. What ifs? So Pango had a great synopsis of this game, which was very good. What if that playoff game had been played at home on the bigger, wide-open drive field in Keene, New Hampshire, allowing the Owls to utilize their speed and quick counterattacking style, which was infamously loud, supporting fans cheering the team on and intimidating the visitors. Coach Scott, what's he tell your team, Jimmy McCauley? What's he tell your team about winning in the conference? Win every game so you can play at home. I want you two up there to remember, you win every game to play at home. So what if some of those near misses hadn't stopped dead in the puddles that they slipped in? What if that last second shot that hadn't been cleared off the line? We'll never know, will we? But we can sure dream, and we can sure reminisce. What if, Pango, if you had scored that goal, McCauley, you didn't hit it hard enough? Why were you injured? Why did we have to play away from home? Not in front of our fans, but a hostile crowd. And I'll tell you, back in the day, when we went away, we always had a hostile crowd. Always. Always, always. So what I say about this team that's being inducted tonight, you were special. You all hold a place in my heart. And I think that anybody who played for me knows that soccer is important, but what you do in life, how you react to the challenges that you have in front of you, in my mind, is more important than all of these accolades. These are something that you'll never forget, you'll always cherish, and you'll always have these special moments. But I'm most proud of all of you that have gone out into the communities and you've made something of yourself and you started to work with young kids and you're now coaching. To all the other inductees tonight, I say congratulations, because what you have done for Keene State College will always go down in their annals as somebody special. Traditions, in my mind, is an important part of what you do here at Keene State College. And as I told all of my teams, and I told Coach Scott's team, it is your responsibility as an individual, whether you're a track star, a soccer player, a basketball player, a volleyball player, it doesn't matter. It is your responsibility to leave a legacy when you leave this institution. You have a responsibility for all the players who played before you to stay up and play with them, and you have a responsibility to keep that tradition going. If you do that, I guarantee that Keene State College will always be in your hearts, and you will always be in the hearts of everybody after you. Thank you very much. If all of you would come forward, please. All right, so let me introduce all these people, and we'll give them that flag. Joe Barasser, also a track star at Keene State. He can give you a story about a day it was mad and left him home on the bus. Missed the bus. Halftime, we were losing. I said, I need Joe Barasser. Joe, where are you? The guy said, Coach, you forgot him. Second player, Mikey McCarthy. Interesting story. I just met his parents. I said, Mikey, wanted to go to East Stroudsburg. I talked him into coming to Keene State. Here he is. Now he's a soccer coach of his own, and his kids are playing soccer at the highest level. Mikey Farnham. What is he? It's a bait now. What do you grow?
Everything.
Yeah, he's a farmer.
Everything healthy.
He's a farmer. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention his brother Stevie, who played for me, was a great player here. Mikey was also a great player in his own right. Mikey, congratulations. Mark Kavanaugh was one of our super subs. All right, I had to leave him in where? What state were we in? Illinois, middle of nowhere. Guy nailed him, put him into the bench, broke his ribs. They wouldn't let him come home. He stayed there 3 or 4 days with one of our athletic trainers before we got him home. Remember that? Mark Kavanaugh.
I remember when they dressed me and they go back in the bus. I was so embarrassed.
All right, here's the culprit that started all this. Now look, I gotta tell you, I'm looking at the team picture of him and his playing day up there. 1, 2, the third player in from the left.
About this big back then.
But what I like to say about this young man is that after he graduated from Keene State when he was 32 years old, he and his brother decided to...
I wasn't 32 when I graduated. 41.
He decided to join the Marines. Wound up in Lebanon? Albania, machine gun. 4 years.
Not quite as loud as Bush, but they were pretty loud.
Thank you for your service, young man. Brother Kevin played for me also. Rick was one of these super subs off the bench. You never knew what was going to happen with him. We kept changing positions. But you know what? He always won something for the team atmosphere. Thank you very much. Mike Slayton had more honors in the state of New Hampshire than anybody. 56 goals, career goals, or 100 career goals, 56 goals. He came to Keene State. I said, you're not good enough. I'm making you a right back. One of the best we ever had. Congratulations. Ricky LaVoy, another one of those guys who played back and never knew what he was going to do. Every time I thought he was going to get thrown out of a game, he surprised me. But he was one of those tough nuts that made things happen. Thanks very much. Keith Braun, I've known him since, I don't know, he's a little Schaefer, and his father and I are still good friends, 13. He's got some of the war wounds that I told you about. But he was a great goalkeeper, and man, he had a history of some good goalkeepers, didn't we, Scotty? Here's Mr. McCauley, whose son is now a star at Keene State, or a budding star, I should say. He hasn't quite reached the status of his dad. But we'll see after 3 or 4 years that he's here. This guy and his dad love him to death, and he made our program go whoop right to the top. Thank you. Last but not least, Bobby Mallett. If you remember Mr. Mallett on campus, who was here for how many years? A long time. Bob hated to see me coming, kind of like Kamal. He said, "Oh my God, Butch, what do you want now?" I said, "I need a new stadium. Can't give it to you." I said, "Really? I'm going to get it." I got it. I got it. But he was a great, and Bobby, tough nut. Tough nut. Except when we went to Plymouth. He remembers that now. But it's great to have him here. Thank you.
Thank you.